All right, so we are going to continue into our work with Chapter 7 with polynomials. And today we are going to focus in on factoring a trinomial where a is equal to 1 and it does not have a GCF. So factoring a trinomial is basically a reverse FOIL. So in order to kind of bring that back to light, we're going to go through these 4 FOIL problems and we're going to kind of talk about them a little bit. So remember FOIL, we multiply first times first, we multiply the outside, we multiply the inside, and then we multiply the last. Then what we do is we take and we combine our like terms in the middle, and we bring down the 24 as well. Now, a couple things I want to point out. First, if you notice, the 4 and the 6 multiply to give me the 24. The next thing I want to point out is that the 4 and the 6 also are what adds together to give us the 10x. Okay. The last thing I want to point out is if you notice the signs, they're both a plus, and that's why positive times a positive gives me a positive 24, and then positive 4 plus a positive 6 gives me a positive 10. All right, let's take a look at this second one. So we're going to start off first times first. Then we go outer, inner, and last. We combine our like terms. Now, once again, just to point out a couple things here. First thing I want to point out is if you notice, if you take negative 2 times negative 3, that's what gets us the positive 6. Also, because they are both negative, when we add those together, that is going to give us the negative 5x. So when we get the last number in our polynomial, in our trinomial, if the last number is positive, we have an option. Either they're both going to be positive or they're both going to be negative. And how we know is based off of the sign in front of the x term. Okay, so one of them there was a negative, so they were both negatives, or one was a positive and they were both positives. Okay, let's take a look at these next two. So on this, we go first times first, outer, inner, and last. Now, hopefully you notice this one is a little different now. And what you're hopefully noticing is, once again, you have your negative 4 and your positive 5. I gave us a negative 20. But this time I have different signs. I have a negative 4 and a positive 5. When I add those together, that's really like subtracting. And the reason that's happening is because my signs are different. Okay, let's take a look at this last one here. We're going to go first times first, outer, inner, and last. And we combine our like terms in the middle. And once again, just to show a couple of those pieces again, positive 8 times a negative 3, that gets me the negative 24. Also, since my signs are different, I'm adding them, and that gets me positive 5x. Also, notice that the sign in the middle, in front of the bx term, it goes with the larger of the two factors. So when you look at those things, that's what we're going to be doing when we go in reverse of FOIL. So we're going to be using those topics or those techniques to reverse FOIL problems. So the standard form of a trinomial is simply ax squared plus bx plus c. So what we're going to do is, first thing, we're going to find all the factors of c. What multiplies to give you c is basically what you're asking yourself. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the factors of c and see what adds up to bx. Okay, now remember that if c is positive, then both signs will be the same. This will be the sign in front of the bx. If c is negative, you will have one of each sign, and the biggest number will take the sign in front of bx. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this. So we're going to start off. First thing I'm going to point out is notice my last number is a 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this little chart over here. So I want my two numbers to multiply to give me 6. And since it's positive, I want it to add up to a positive 5x. All right, so here we go. Factors of 6. I have 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So if I add 1 and 6, I get a 7. If I add 2 and 3, I get a 5. So 2 and 3 is my combination. So I'm going to come over here. I have x, I have a 2, I have a 3. My last sign is a positive, which means the signs are going to be the same. I look back, they're both a plus. So I would end up with x plus 3, x plus 2. Okay, let's try number 2 here. So we start off, I look, I have a positive 18. So I am looking for numbers that add to a positive 18, and then, or multiply to get a positive 18, add to 11. So I'm looking 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. So if I add those up, I get 19, I get 11, I get 9. So 2 and 9 is my combination. I have a 9, I have a 2. This sign tells me their signs are going to be the same. So I look back, this sign tells me that they're both going to be negative. Okay, let's try this next one here. All right, so this time I'm looking here at the third term, and this time I wanted to multiply to give me a negative 45, and this time I wanted to add to give me a negative 12x. Okay, so here we go. I've got 1 and 45. So I'm going to go negative 1 and 45, or 1 and negative 45. I have negative 3 and 15, or 15, negative 15 and 3. I have negative 5 and 9, or 5 and negative 9. Now, if we add these together, this one would get me a positive 44. This one would get me a negative 44. This one would get me a positive 12. This one would get me a negative 12, positive 4, or negative 4. So remember, we wanted to add to a negative 12. So this is the combination I have. So it'll be x minus 15, x plus 3. And there it is. Okay, let's take a look at number 4 here. So on number 4, once again, we're looking for something that multiplies to give you a negative 72. And it is going to add to give me a positive 1x. Okay, so I have negative 172, or goodness, some technical trouble there, or 1 and negative 72. I have negative 2 and 36, or 2 and negative 36. I have negative 3 and 24, or I have 3 and negative 24. I have negative 4 and 18, or 4 and negative 18. I have negative 6 and 12, or 6 and negative 12. And I have negative 8 and 9, or 8 and negative 9. So if I kind of look at these and I start adding them together, this one's going to give me 71, negative 71, 34, negative 34, 21, negative 21, 14, negative 14, 6 and negative 6, 1 and negative 1. So when I look, I'm looking for a positive 1. So that would be my combination of negative 8 and positive 9. So I have x minus 8, x plus 9. And that is how we factor a trinomial.